Have you ever looked at yourself? I mean, really, looked at yourself in the mirror? Who is that person looking back? You see your body, your face, your expressions, but is that all of you? Every day, we think, feel, and talk from the perspective of I. We say, I think, I feel, I want. But what exactly is this I? We get so attached to this image of I, worrying about what other people think of us. We chase after the achievements of this I, terrified of failure. We protect the interests of this I, constantly competing with others. It feels like our entire lives are built around this one little word, I. But have you ever stopped to ask, is this I that we cling to so tightly as real and permanent as we think it is? The Diamond Sutra, a timeless and profound text, reveals a powerful truth, the concept of no self. Now, no self doesn't mean that we don't exist. Instead, it invites us to see the true nature of the self, to break free from our attachment to it, and in doing so, to find genuine freedom and liberation. Today, let's start that journey together, a journey to discover the truth of who we really are. This attachment to the self, often called ego clinging or the ego, is like a tight suit of clothes we wear. It's always there, but it also restricts our every move. It shows up in our daily lives in so many ways. Comparison and competition. We're constantly comparing ourselves to others. Our looks, our wealth, our success. The moment we feel we don't measure up, we sink into frustration and anxiety. The thought, I am less than them, becomes a primary source of our pain. Image and vanity. We care so much about what others think. We're afraid of losing face. To protect this image of I, we often live behind a mask, and frankly, it's exhausting. Possession and control. We cling to material things, to status, to power, trying to control everything around us. My house, my car, my partner. The moment we lose one of these things, we feel immense suffering. Emotional roller coasters. Our emotions swing wildly based on the wins and losses of the I. When things go our way, we're on top of the world. When they don't, we're crushed. The I becomes the puppet master of our emotions. All of these are symptoms of ego clinging. They're like an invisible net that traps us, keeping us from living with a sense of genuine ease and joy. Just imagine for a moment, what would it feel like to let go of these attachments? How light and free would life become? To help us see why this I is more of an illusion than a reality, Buddhism offers a brilliant framework called the 5 aggregates, or the 5 heaps, skandhas in Sanskrit. These are the 5 components that, when assembled, create the experience of me. Let's break them down. Form. This is our physical body, and our senses are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Think of it as the hardware, the receiver that picks up information from the world. But this body is in a constant state of flux. It's changing from the moment we're born until we grow old. Sensation. These are our feelings: pleasure, pain, and neutrality. Feelings arise. They linger for a moment, and then they pass. They are like ripples on a pond, never staying in one fixed state. Perception. This is how we recognize and label things: thoughts, concepts, and memories. Our mind is constantly generating ideas, but these thoughts are not who we are. They come and go, and they are not permanent. Mental formations. This includes our habits, our intentions, our biases, and our will. Our moods and impulses are like the weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, but always changing. Consciousness. This is the awareness that ties the other four aggregates together. It's the space where form, sensations, perceptions, and mental formations are experienced. But this awareness isn't a single, solid thing. It's a continuous process of receiving and processing information. The five aggregates are like different actors playing their parts on a stage. The problem of ego arises when we mistake these fleeting actors for our true self. In reality, the I is simply a temporary combination of these five changing elements. There is no independent, permanent CEO in charge. So, when we talk about no self or Anatman, we aren't saying you don't exist or that you don't have a unique personality. What no self challenges is the myth of a permanent, separate, and controlling self. Let's look at what this myth is made of. The myth of permanence. We tend to believe that the I from our past is the same I in the present and will be the same I in the future. But think about it, every single moment, we are changing. Our bodies are changing. Our thoughts are changing. Our feelings are changing. Which one is the real, unchanging I? The myth of a separate self. We see ourselves as independent individuals, separate from everything else. But in truth, we are deeply interconnected with everything around us. We are shaped by our family, our society, and the natural world. No one exists in a vacuum. The myth of control. We believe that I am the master of my destiny, that I can control my thoughts and actions. But how often are we swept away by our emotions? How often are we influenced by our environment? We are not as in control as we think. The teaching of no self is about seeing through this myth. It helps us recognize that the self is a temporary phenomenon brought together by various causes and conditions. And by seeing this, we can finally begin to loosen our grip. No, self is not about nihilism or denying life. It's about seeing life more clearly. It's not meant to make us passive, but to help us live more freely and fully. Imagine you're at a spectacular magic show. You're captivated by the magician's skill, amazed by the impossible things happening on stage. But what if you knew how the tricks were done? What if you understood they were just illusions, clever uses of misdirection and psychology? Would you still be so attached to the idea that the magic was real? The wisdom of no self is like learning the secret behind the magic trick. It allows us to see the nature of reality without being fooled by the surface level appearances. When we stop clinging to the illusion of the I, we can become more present and experience life more authentically. This ego, this attachment to I, is like a rope that binds us. The more we cling to it, the more we feel constricted and pained. The practice of understanding no self is like a pair of scissors. It can cut the rope and set us free. Now, letting go of the ego isn't easy. It's a lifelong practice. But the moment we begin, we start to see positive changes in our lives. We become more tolerant, more peaceful, and more joyful. And this doesn't just benefit us. When we stop being so fixated on protecting our own interests, we naturally start to care more for others. When we understand that I am not truly separate from you, that we are all part of an interconnected whole, compassion arises naturally. We can more easily understand what others are feeling and put ourselves in their shoes. This love and compassion for others is born from a deep understanding of no-self. And that is a journey worth taking. In our last conversation, we explored the profound idea of no-self. But this isn't just an abstract theory. It's a practical wisdom we can bring into every moment of our daily lives. So, how do we do it? Let's explore some simple, powerful practices. 1. Observe your thoughts like clouds. Start by noticing your thoughts and emotions as they drift through your mind, just like watching clouds in the sky. They appear, they shift, and they pass away. You don't need to grab onto them or push them away. Just observe. Recognize that these thoughts are simply mental events, products of causes and conditions, not the real you. For example, the thought, "I'm so stupid," might pop into your head. Instead of believing it or letting it bring you down, just notice it. See it arise and see it fade. It's just a thought, not a statement of fact about who you are. 2. Reflect on your actions. Take a few moments each day to gently reflect on your behavior. Ask yourself, were my actions driven by that ego clinging we talked about? For instance, did I act out of a need for approval? Did I stretch the truth to protect my image? Did I buy something I didn't need just to feel better about myself? This reflection isn't about judging yourself. It's about bringing awareness to how the ego operates in your life, so you can consciously begin to choose a different way. 3. Practice seeing from their perspective. Try to step into someone else's shoes and understand their feelings. Imagine you were in their situation. How would you see the problem? What kind of support would you need? This practice, also known as empathy, helps us cultivate compassion. It reduces conflict and builds much more harmonious connections. For example, if your partner snaps at you after a stressful day at work, instead of reacting defensively, try to understand the pressure they're under. You might find it easier to respond with care instead of anger. 4. Cultivate gratitude. Actively appreciate everything you have. Your health, a warm home, a true friend. Recognize that these are precious gifts that arise from a web of conditions, not things you're simply entitled to. Gratitude helps us release our attachment to what we don't have and cherish what's right in front of us, leading to more happiness and contentment. A simple practice. Before you sleep, take just 1 minute to recall 3 things from your day you're grateful for. It could be a delicious meal, a kind message from a friend, or the feeling of the sun on your skin. 5. Embrace imperfection. We often have impossibly high standards for ourselves and for others. When these expectations aren't met, we feel disappointed and frustrated. This comes from clinging to an image of a perfect me or a perfect other. The wisdom of no self reminds us that humans are perfectly imperfect, and so is life. Accepting this allows you to let go of that rigid grip and live with more ease. This means accepting your own flaws without harsh self-criticism, and accepting life's setbacks without blame or resentment. In our relationships, the ego often shows up as the need to be right, stubbornness, or scorekeeping. When we apply the wisdom of no self, our interactions can transform. Listen to understand, not to respond. When you disagree with someone, your first instinct might be to defend your position. Instead, try to truly listen to their perspective first. Let go of your preconceived notions so you can actually hear what they are saying. Offer understanding, not blame. When someone makes a mistake, try to understand why it happened instead of immediately criticizing them. Maybe they were careless, or maybe they were under immense pressure. A little understanding can prevent a lot of conflict. Choose inclusion over exclusion. People are different. We have different personalities, habits, and values. True harmony comes from making space for these differences, not from insisting everyone be the same. Learn to embrace diverse viewpoints and lifestyles. Managing our emotions becomes much easier when we realize they are temporary states, not the core of who we are. Here's how to work with them. Notice the emotion arising. Become aware of the physical signs as an emotion starts to build. When you feel anger, you might notice a faster heartbeat, shallow breathing, or heat in your body. Don't judge the feeling. Simply observe the emotion as it unfolds, without labeling it as good or bad. Anger isn't bad. Sadness isn't bad. They are just human experiences. Make peace with the emotion. Instead of suppressing or running away from a feeling, allow it to be there. Give it space to flow through you without letting it take over. Use your body to calm your mind. Simple techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or gentle yoga can release physical tension and calm the emotional storm. True happiness doesn't come from getting more things on the outside. It comes from cultivating peace and contentment on the inside. Here are a few final thoughts on finding that inner well-being. Live here and now. Bring your full attention to this present moment. Experience what you're experiencing right now without getting lost in the past or worrying about the future. Nourish your inner world. Cultivate hobbies that bring you joy and fulfillment for their own sake, like reading, painting, making music, or anything that makes you feel alive. Find joy in helping others. When we help others, we connect to a sense of purpose and meaning that brings a profound, lasting happiness. Connect with nature. Spend time outside. Walk, breathe the fresh air, and appreciate the beauty of the natural world. It's a powerful way to calm the mind and lift the spirit. Know self is the central wisdom of the Diamond Sutra. It's not a distant philosophy, it's a guide for living. It teaches us to see the truth of who we are, to let go of our clinging to the ego, and to find genuine freedom. By practicing this wisdom, we can reduce our anxiety and worry, improve our relationships with others, and discover a deeper, more authentic happiness. So, letting go of the ego isn't about losing yourself. It's about finding your true self that is more spacious, more free, and more filled with love. The journey of inner exploration starts now. Let's take that first step together.